belongs to Allah Jalla wa Ala, and peace and blessings of Allah Ta'ala be upon the prophets of Allah, and the last and final messenger of Allah, the Imam of the messengers, the best of the messengers, the leader of the messengers, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Brothers and sisters, welcome to Lewisham Islamic Centre. Jazakumullah khair for coming to our Friday halaqah, our Friday lecture. Today, inshallah, we have Ustad Abdullah Yusuf Santiago. Ustad Abdullah Yusuf Santiago is from Gibraltar, born there, grew up there, came to the United Kingdom and got a degree in art and Spanish. He is taught at the London East Academy, based at East London Mosque, and currently is the deputy head at Olive Tree School, teaching art and other subjects. Inshallah, again, his journey is quite unique. I've heard it before, but inshallah, for many of you, it will be the first time. So inshallah, he will be speaking about his journey to Islam, and he will be Ustad Abdullah Yusuf Santiago, and then inshallah at the end, we can have a discussion inshallah on his lecture. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. First of all, I would like to thank Lewisham Islamic Centre and especially Imam Shakil for giving me the opportunity to come up here and speak for the second time. I mean, to tell you the truth, I'm not a person to talk in public, even though I'm a teacher. I mean, teaching is a bit different to talking, giving a lecture or talking in public, you know. You're actually, most of the time, facilitating for the children and involved with the children, so it's not really, so I'm not a type of person to stand in front of a camera and talk about. You know, I think it's always nice to reminisce and go back to, you know, back in the days. You know, everybody does that. You look back at your past and then you start looking forward at the future, you know. So it's important that we always look back where we come from and how we've changed and how we've developed in the years. So, like Imam Shakil said, I come from Gibraltar. I've been actually a Muslim now for about 13 years. It's been I tell you, sometimes I feel like I'm just going to go to sleep, and when I wake up it's going to be a dream. I really do feel like that. I feel like sometimes, because every day there's something special that Allah Azza wa Jal, you know, puts in front of you. You know, and I think Allah puts special things in front of everyone. It's just a matter of slowing down and seeing these things. You know, I think in the society that we live, we're going so fast that we miss out on everything. You know, it's like going shopping in 10 minutes. It's impossible. You know, you go and ask your wives to go shopping for 10 minutes. You'll be like, what are you talking about? Here it's 2 hours. You know? So it's like this. Islam is the same thing. It's like a gift. I see it as a gift and an experience day by day. When I wake up, Allah shows you signs and He shows you situations, and you know, and it's all about this, about a journey. And I think everybody has a journey to tell. It's not just my journey. Everybody has a journey. It depends on, you know, what Allah is gonna let you see and let us see. It's up to that, and it all comes down to opening your heart. It's the more you open your heart to Islam, the more Allah Azza wa Jalla lets you see. You know, and it's all about that. So I mean, we all have a journey, but I mean, I'll talk a bit about my journey. Come from Gibraltar. Gibraltar is a funny name, you know, Gibraltar. It comes from the word Gibraltar, which is basically, if you studied a bit of history, you will know that you know, Spain was Muslim for over 700 years. You know, it was probably one of the golden times of Europe, when the Muslims actually, you know, used to live in Spain. So it all began in Gibraltar. Gibraltar is the starting point, because when this Muslim, the Amir of the time, in North Africa, his name was Tariq ibn Ziyad, and Tariq, very young, he came with a few ships, you know, and crossed the Mediterranean, from North Africa to Europe for the first time, landing in what we call, or they called at the time, Al-Andalus, you know, the land of the unknown land. And he landed in this big rock, which is what Gibraltar is. It's just a piece of rock. If you go on Google it, you'll see. It's actually an amazing place. Not because I come from there, it's just how Allah Azza wa Jalla has actually placed this rock in the middle of nowhere. Because everything around it is a peninsula, and everything around it is flat. And it's flat for quite a bit. And then all of a sudden this rock comes from nowhere. It looks like somebody just stuck it there. You know? So just the actual rock itself, you know, you think, subhanAllah, how did this end up here? You know? So I think that somehow must have had an impact on anybody, because Gibraltar, the rock of Gibraltar, when you first see it, it has an impact on anyone. You look at it for the first time, you go, wow, I need to go and see this place. You know? So I think if you go back to those times, I'm sure Tariq bin Ziyad and everybody would have seen and said, wait a second, we need to land here. This is the place. And they landed there, so it became Jebel, being the mountain of Tariq. And that's where Gibraltar actually comes from. So there's a lot of history there. I mean, it's a place that a lot of tourists visit, and most of the people that go there, they go to see history. And they do have there's actually a tower left from the times of Tariq bin Ziyad, a tower. The Christians there call it a castle, because obviously they don't have towers, they have castles. So this castle, or this tower, is actually part of the flag of Gibraltar. If you go to Google flag of Gibraltar, you will see it has red and white, and it has a castle in the middle with the key. This castle is the tower that's left from Tariq bin Ziyad. Yeah. So, I mean, we're talking about history there. If you go into that tower is about 4 to 5 meters thick, the walls. And the idea was to actually put the Amir in there for protection. I mean, that's what they say when you go there and you basically talk about this. But obviously, that's where I come from. So already, you know, I'm growing up in an environment where they're telling me about Islam. Yeah. But, I mean, the main influence in Gibraltar comes from Morocco. Because Gibraltar is one of these places where, I mean, you can stand in a spot in Gibraltar and you can see 2 continents and 3 nationalities from one spot. You can stand there and you can see Morocco, which is a nationality, and it's part of Africa. You standing in Europe, in a British colony, and you can look at the side and the Spain, which is Spanish, a different nationality. So from one spot you can see all this. And the view is amazing. The view is amazing from there. So Morocco is a big influence. And obviously, for a non-Muslim, the influence of Morocco is unfortunately a bit alienated, you know, because, I mean, it's not Morocco's fault. Morocco is an Arab-speaking country, so they speak Arabic, so that's their language, you know, and they read the Quran straight in Arabic from the text. They don't have to translate it. You know, you go to Morocco, nobody, I mean, they do speak to you in English, Spanish, whatever language you want, probably to sell you something if you go, but you know, it's an Arab-speaking country. So for me, as I grew up, Islam was a religion for an Arab-speaking person. Because I had not met yet a person which was born Muslim, which didn't understand Arabic, but was born Muslim, and all their families were Muslim. Everybody was Muslim. But they didn't understand Arabic, and they don't come from an Arab culture. They maybe come from Asian culture, or South Africa, or any sort of culture. I didn't see Islam like that, because most of the people that migrated to Gibraltar were Moroccans. So Islam for me was something that I would have to learn Arabic first, find out what Moroccans eat and what Moroccans do, and then hopefully, you know, this is how, and a lot of, you need to understand this, because a lot of non-Muslims, they see Islam from this perspective. Yeah? which, to tell you the truth, is an advantage that we have in the UK. Because in the UK, it's different. Because me coming to the UK is what made a big difference and a big impact in my life in Islam. Because I saw a different Islam. I met a person who didn't know Arabic, but were born Muslim, you know, and was telling me about Islam in English. He was telling me about Moses, Jesus. So he's telling me names, Adam, Adam and Eve, you know, Abraham and Noah, the boat. I'm thinking, are you a Muslim? Must be Christian, you know, Muslim. Never heard a Muslim say that. Yeah. Because obviously, you know, like you say, I come from an area where it was very difficult to see the real Islam. So obviously, you know, that was the influence that I had, that was the perspective. But still though, there are things I'm going to talk about later, which are basically signs of things that Allah Azza wa Jalla has established on earth already. They are already a ritual that we do, we take for granted, but it has a major impact on non-Muslims. Major. Yeah, major. I mean, I could just tell you one thing and you probably would agree with that. Jummah. I mean, you out there and you think, well, this place doesn't look that big really. You know, I mean, it's not like a big massive church here or a big building. It's just a few buildings put together. And all of a sudden, straight after Jummah, you see all these people coming out. You think, where are all these people coming from? You can't fit all those people in there. And it's true, you can't fit it if you think like a Christian or another faith, because they will have tables and chairs and all sorts of things to break. We maximize the space, maximize it to a point where people are on the road and in the street playing. And some people might, I mean, I know a person that once told me, you know, I went past the mosque, I saw all these people there, man. I thought they were selling something for free, man. I was going to go in there and say, hey, what's going on, man? Are they giving free stuff? You know, they're not free. They're praying. What? Praying? All of them? So they're not getting anything for free. They can't believe that. They cannot believe something like that. You know, so this is just one sign, Jummah, where no faith out there, no belief, no lifestyle can match that. Try and match it. Try and put all those amount of people. I haven't even talked about Hajj here, which I went last year, and that was a total different experience. I mean, those are millions of people there. Yeah. So this in itself is one of the things that, like I remember telling one person, I told this once, and they were like, I was actually in the Dawah table, and I told them that, you know, Islam, I was talking to a non-Muslim. I said, you know what, I've been Muslim for 30 years. I was explaining to them my experience of Islam. Because normally when I'm on the Dawah table, that's what I do. You know, I just tell them what Islam is for me. You know, it's not necessarily for you. And I just said, hey, you know what? Do you know that when I embraced Islam, Islam took something away from me? And he looked a bit like, oh, you know, it's like something bad or something sad, you know, Islam took something away from me. He said, what did Islam take from me? I said, Islam took my doubts away. I don't have any doubts now. I know if I worship Allah as hard as I can and put effort into, Allah is on my side. That's all. And that brings peace, contentment, happiness, which so many people out there, they're looking for. And they spend hundreds and thousands of pounds looking for this. And they can't find it. Because it's not in money. It's something that Allah needs to give you and needs to put in your heart. And for you to have it in your heart, you must crave for it. If you don't crave for it, you won't be in there. So anyway, going back to this is why I got this paper, because I get encouraged away that I could drift off all sorts of ways. So, just a bit about my background. Catholic. I don't know if you know Catholic people, very strict, orthodox rituals, and they don't even know why they're doing half of the things, they just do it. And you know what? You don't ask questions. That's how it is. don't ask questions. It's just the way it is. And I mean, you brought up like this, you think, well, I want to ask a question, you know, it's like, no, you can't ask any questions, you know, so it's not something that really, since young, was for me. Obviously, my family, especially my great-grandma, and that, they used to go to church quite often. So, you know, as a young kid, they take you with you, and you get involved with it somehow, because you're young. So I was involved in that. I even became, to tell the truth, I used to go to church, and I even helped the priest. You know, in Catholic, if you've ever been a Catholic, you know the religion, they have these little, like young people, you know, youngsters that dress up like the priest and they ring the bell and they do a couple of things. And it's like a helper, you know. So I was one of those for a while. I actually helped them out, you know. Unbelievable, I was there. I mean, for the wrong reason, really, you know. I mean, the first reason why I was there was because my great-grandma was like, okay, you know, come and help the priest, he's there by himself. Come on, you could do it. Okay, Johnny. Then later I started to like him because there was this girl that I really liked. She used to go on the weekends there. I was like all the time looking at her. So this is why I was there, you know. To tell the truth, it's just. But anyway, I couldn't make sense of Catholicism, you know. I couldn't make sense of it. Nothing to do with whether Jesus was the Son of God or not. It just didn't make any sense. I used to turn up there, and all I could see was people just lingering and talking, and look at her, she's dressing like that, and oh, who's that guy that's in the UK? And it was all about like sitting and talking about others, and you know, and all this like, and then every now and then they stop and they read from the book, and then they might sing a song, and it was just, I'm thinking, but you're here to communicate with God. We're not communicating with God, we're just communicating between each other, you know. And this is one thing that I didn't see that I can't see in Christianity. It's all about this social gathering, and you go to a lot of churches, a lot of places, and it's all about this. It's all about meeting on Saturday or meeting on Sunday, talking, well dressed, and it's all about a big event. You know, it's a big thing. And I'm thinking, okay, so where's the connection with God? I mean, I tell you the truth. My mom is Catholic, but she's never gone to Mass. Mass is actually the ritual that Catholics do. They call it Mass, and it's like the sort of like the ritual that they do at a certain time. It's called the Mass, and that's where all the people gather and they go through everything. Well, she never goes there. He says, my mom is Catholic, and she goes to church when there's nobody there. When it's empty, she goes because she finds peace in the church when it's empty. And then she sits there and she talks to God. And then she spends about 10 minutes there talking to God, giving him thanks, praising him, and you know, asking for forgiveness and help and guidance. And then she comes out of the church and she gets on with her life. And my auntie does the same thing. They do this. And I actually think that is more closer to Islam than what people do in these sort of gatherings and things like that, because at least they're making a connection. I mean, may Allah guide them, you know. So anyway, I grew up out of that. Obviously, that was quite young. Then afterwards, I got to my teenagers, you know, when you get to 16, 17, 18, get a bit wider now. And one sports had a big impact in my life. Probably the most, other than Islam, the biggest impact in my life was basketball. Yeah, I watched basketball, this NBA stuff, TV once, and I just went mad. I see these guys jumping around and dunking and doing all sorts of things. I go, wow, this is my sport. And I was at the time, you know, quite skinny looking, you know, bouncy tall guy, you know. Is that, you know, this guy, he looks like a basketball player. You know? So I started playing basketball, and you know, I spent so much time playing basketball, and I just committed myself so much that I was just blind. It was like basketball. I slept basketball, I ate basketball, I was talking basketball all the time. You know? I mean, even my friends used to joke around with me. It's like, man, hey, you're gonna get a girlfriend, you're gonna start bouncing, because it was like, all you think is about basketball. But you know, basketball actually got me straight, in a straighter path, because I mean, I was going a bit, because I've never been academically that good, you know, even though I'm a teacher now, but that's how things Allah puts things in front of me. But I've always grown up and I've been, you know, typical sit at the back, don't say nothing, you know. Mainly because my family, even though they come from Gibraltar, they're Spanish, like Imam Shakil said, they're Spanish influence. And they come from Spanish background. And what happens is that Gibraltar is a British colony, so you have to learn English in school. And my family didn't know any English. So you imagine, I mean, I'm sure some of you have gone through this experience. You come here, dad doesn't speak much English, you know, mom doesn't speak much English. So you can't help your children at home with the English because, you know, so they struggle with the language, all this sort of thing. So I went through the same thing. So my culture was Spanish mainly, you know. But still, you know, because of that, I used to always be very shy. I never spoke. To tell the truth, before I even decided to go to university, my English was horrible. I could understand everything, but I couldn't speak that fluently. Because I never practiced English, because at home I always spoke in Spanish. So I wasn't really good at school. And I wasn't hoping to go to university or to study anything. For me, it was more like finish when I'm 16, at least get a job somewhere, you know, pay something or live something, and that's it. But basketball got me into studying. Because what happened is they gave me this avenue. It was this avenue where basically they said, look, if you play basketball, we can send you to America, to the USA. And NBA, that's where the NBA is from. I was like, NBA, you mean I can go where the NBA is? Yeah, you can go there. We'll send you there, we'll pay everything for you. You can actually be one of the first ones in Gibraltar to go there. You know what? I mean, what do I have to study? So I studied because I want to play basketball, to tell you the truth. If not, I wouldn't have studied. Because I don't like studying at all. I don't like studying. So I basically just like study, play basketball, study. And it was just, this was my life. Get my A-levels and get there and play basketball and have this opportunity to go. So they, you know, I had this chance and they paid for my money. I got my A-levels and I went to the States. It's like all of a sudden, just like that, I just traveled to the States and I went to college for 4 years. I mean, it was funny when I got there because it was like, I got there, I mean, this is how naive and how sort of, you know, in regards to university and studying, how far back I was, you know? Because I mean, for me, it was just basketball. I got there and they asked me, what are you going to study? I said, basketball. so this lady at the reception in the university is telling me, I know you're going to play basketball. You're for the varsity team. You're going to play basketball for here. You've been, yeah, we know that. You have to study something. I said, what can I study? Basketball. He says, no, you can't study basketball. You're going to play basketball. You've got to study something. So I was thinking, okay, so what do I study? So I'm looking at, so the lady says, so what are you good at? I said, I'm good at drawing, you know, art, okay. And you're good at, what else? Well, I can talk Spanish, so that's my first language. Okay, fair enough, you can do a degree in Spanish and art. Okay, let's go. So I'm doing a degree here in art and Spanish. Don't know where I'm going, I just want to play basketball. And I play basketball. That was what I did. And I always had this goal that I want to reach the NBA, I want to be, you know, because this is what the youth is. I mean, youngsters see Messi, see Ronaldo, this is it. That's what you want. You know, you want to be like them. And that's who I was. I wanted to be Michael Jordan, because that was the guy of the time. I don't know if you even know this guy, Michael Jordan. You probably know him, but he was my hero. He was my role model. And he was where I wanted to end up. But you know what? When you, as a youngster, this is advice for the youth. You need to have a backup plan, you know? Because the chances of you actually becoming Ronaldo, I mean, I don't want to put you off, but, you know, the reality is you need to work very hard for it and commit yourself a lot, and maybe Allah will make it possible. Still, you have to pray to Allah, so at some point in time, you have to leave your football, because it's salah time. Anyway, so this was my life. What happened was then, obviously, when I got my degree, graduated, I finished playing basketball. That was it, really. Because I mean, when you go to the States to play basketball, that's a different world, man. I mean, here, nobody plays basketball. So if you bounce the ball a bit and shoot it, everybody will be like, wow. You go there, people are born playing basketball. This kid's like 5 years old, dunking and doing things like this. You think, they started so early, because in the United States, there are 4 main sports. It's basketball, baseball, American football, and ice hockey. These are the main sports. Everybody plays this. Nobody plays soccer, like what we call here football. To tell you the truth, I was even thinking of changing and playing soccer when I was there, so I'd become more famous. Because I kicked the ball a few times, everybody was like, "Oh, Pelé, it's Pelé." That's like, I need to change sports then, maybe become a football player. But anyway, I finished college, and then afterwards I went back home with a degree in Spanish and art. Go and try and find a job with that, And it's fine art. It's not like even graphic design or something, something like, from this time. It's like fine art. But that's what I did, that's where I was lost completely. Came back, worked, because I've always been, that's one thing that I've always had, and I'm grateful to Allah for giving me this ability. I work hard, whatever I do, I work hard. Even if I don't know, I try my best. And I always encourage the children in my school to do that. Because I believe that Allah only wants you to try your best. Allah doesn't look at your result. It looks at your intention. And as long as your intention is clean and you put effort, you will get reward. It might not be the reward that you expect at the end, but don't worry, Allah is on your side and Allah will help you. Because that's all is required from us. To have a clear intention and to try our best. And this is what I tell the children. So I've always been hard working in everything that I've done. And so I got to a point where I didn't know what I wanted to do with my degree. I was working, I worked at deliveries, security guard, shopping assistant. With the degree, of course, people looking at me, "You got a degree, man? You work in 12-hour shifts as security guard." Okay. So I said, look, I've got to do something with this degree. Because I felt like a disappointment to my family, because and a disappointment to the government to pay all this money to send me somewhere. I came back, it's like I'm here doing 12-hour shifts. So I said, let me do something with this degree. So my mom actually, alhamdulillah, one of my guides, through my life, she says, "Oh, become a teacher, because you know what, you came back from basketball, and because I was good at basketball, when I came back, I was sort of like mini famous in Gibraltar, because I came from America, so everybody was like, wow, he's from the USA, he plays basketball." So I used to do clinics and basketball camps for the children, and so I was teaching already. I was teaching them basketball. And my mom said, "Well, you're teaching the kids, they all hanging around you. I don't know what you've got, some sort of glue or something, they all stick to you. So you're good with kids and you seem to enjoy it. So why don't you go for teaching?" That's when my turning point happened. I came to the UK to do a PGC, to become a teacher. And while I was here is when basically all this started happening. Well, first of all, I actually, what happened was I came here for a year. I said, I want to do my PGC, because I never really liked the UK. I mean, it's not like I didn't like the UK, I didn't know the UK. I didn't like the weather anyway, so I said, I'm not staying here because I don't like the weather. Because where I come from is nice, hot, Spain, it's, I think you come to this place, it's always cloudy and cold, and people are just like zombies walking around, nobody says nothing, So I said, I don't like it. But Allah changed my situation. I actually ended up in a relationship with my ex-partner, and on my year while I was studying and doing my PGC, she fell pregnant, So I was like, okay, fair enough, because I mean, we didn't actually get married, but officially, as you would say. But I told her in front of her parents. So if you put it in an Islamic perspective, I was married Islamically, because I did tell her dad and her mom that she's my wife. I bought her a ring, and I said we're together. I mean, that's practically what you need, not something involved with the fake issues into it, but I think you just need some witness, isn't it? And then you just declare it. So I was married to her really, but we're not officially married. And I had a daughter now, and I had just finished studying. I got my PGC, and then to top it up, they offered me a job in the school I was doing my base placement, which was South Luton. I was in Luton at the time. So everything was falling in place, you know. It's like, well, I got my partner now, we got a little kid, I got a job in the same school. The school is close to my house. Seems to be where I'm gonna stay now. You know, so that was it. I decided I wasn't going back. I was gonna stay in the UK because I can't just leave my partner and the baby here. You know, I got, you know, I mean, even though you're not Muslim, you still, you know, have some sort of fear. You know, you're not gonna leave your family there. So we were together for about 3 years. Basically, what happened was that during that time I was working in this school, and this school had about 40% Muslims. Now this was my experience now of Islam from a different perspective. Yeah, before, for me, Islam was Moroccans. You have to be Moroccan or Arab speaking. It's a religion for the Arabs. Now I was coming to a country where I could see Asian people, you know, some African people, and I even saw some like Swedish and Danish and people, that Muslims, you know, blue-eyed blonde people, you know, Muslims. And I was thinking, you know, but obviously at that time, that was later. My first sort of influence was actually a child. And you know, this child changed my life completely. You know, this child. He was, when I was in the school, I had to do, one of the first things you do as a PGC is you shadow a pupil. So you follow a pupil all around the school for the whole day. I mean, we're talking about secondary years, so they will go to different subjects. And you follow them so that you can actually have an experience of different subjects without intimidating the teachers, because you're following the student, not looking at the teachers. But actually, indirectly, what you're doing is you're looking at each teacher, how they teach. So I was doing this and I was following this child, and I tell you, I have not seen, you know, a child, well, I've seen it now in Islam, but his behavior, his adab and akhlaq, I couldn't match it with somebody, you know, this boy. And he was so confident in himself, so calm, very polite. He was like a grown-up. He was just like 12 years old. And he just felt like a grown-up. And he felt like he knew where he stood in life. I'm thinking, this kid knows better about life than me. So I said, you know, and I told him this, I said, you know, your parents must be so proud of you. This is, I'm not Muslim or anything. I said, your parents must be so proud of you. And then you know what he tells me? He says, you know, my parents are really proud of me. And I do thank my parents. Because I told him, I said, you should thank your parents. Because you know what, you're such a role model. You know, and your parents have a lot to do with this. He says, yeah, I do thank my parents. But I thank God. He says God to me. And I go, God? What do you mean like God? It's God. You know, I call him Allah. And I thank him because he gave us a perfect example to follow. And that's who I follow. That's who my parents follow. This is a boy at age 12. I'm thinking, wow. This boy is just, I'm intimidated here. I don't know what to say. You know? I'm thinking, so you said, sorry, God and Muhammad. You said, he introduced me to Muhammad. He just said, the Prophet Muhammad, he's the one I follow. He's the one that my parents. He just said Prophet Muhammad. That was my first taste of Muhammad. The Prophet ﷺ was given to me by a child, 12 years old. So he says, you know, sir, because obviously I was teaching in state school. He says, sir, I'm going to give you a Quran. Do you want a Quran? Okay, give it to me. So this guy, this boy, 12 years old, he's giving me dawah. He's sitting with me and I'm going, okay, give me the Quran. In English, so he says, I give you the Quran. So I take it, this Quran. I remember the Quran, the first Quran I got. There are all these beautiful patterns on the outside, you know. Thinking, wow, this looks like a special book. Anyway, all in English, no Arabic. So he goes, and every day he comes and says, hi sir, how you doing? Have you read the Quran a bit? He's coming every day and telling me some things, you know. Oh yeah, I started a bit reading. I'll tell you, the Quran, okay? I mean, I can't imagine if I knew Arabic, inshallah, and make dua that, you know, Allah gives me the consistency and the strength to start learning Arabic and understanding the Quran. I mean, but it doesn't matter what language you read it. It has an impact on you in any language. I was reading the Quran, and I'm reading the Quran, and it's like every day I'm reading the Quran and I put it, somehow I wanted to take care of this book more than any other book. But I'm talking about care, like make sure the pages don't get folded. I don't know if it was because the cover was so pretty I didn't want to spoil it or something, but it was there. And every time I used to leave it in the sitting room, and every time I went past from the living room to the kitchen, I would go past and see, and every time I would go, and I would look at it. Even the glass, just look at it. Sometimes I go, you know, somehow there was like a craving. And the thing that really freaked me out completely was I'm reading the Quran, and all of a sudden I'm reading, and I have this uncomfort in my heart. I have a question in my heart. Yeah? And this is the speciality of the Quran. You know? You might be reading something, and it's reading about Nuh alayhi salam, or talking about something that's completely out of context of what you're doing in your life. Somehow Allah puts it into your context, into your life. He puts the situation in such a way that it answers the question. Wallahi, I had this question in my heart, I had this doubt. I'm reading the Quran, I turn the page, and the answer for the question in my heart is on the next page. I didn't even speak, I didn't even tell anybody. It was something that I had in my heart. Nobody knew but me and Allah. And you know what? The page gave me the answer for the disease that I had there in my heart at the time. I said, you know what? It's scary now. I said, this scary, this witchcraft thing stuff. Like I said this, I said, this is witch super craft, this sort of thing. I know, I played a Ouija board once. It's that like this, it's one of these things you don't know, you know. I left it there for a bit, and then afterwards I go to school, and there's this, this guy from Bangladesh, he's one of the teachers. We used to hang around because obviously I was foreign, he was foreign, so the foreign guys used to hang around together at school. So he said, I said, oh, I had you had somebody gave you the Quran, one of the kids. I go, yeah, I started reading, but you know what? You know, it's a freaky book, you know, I want to read this stuff, man, it's scary, man. I was reading this, but the book was talking to me, man. I'm telling him this. He's going, no, the book is talking to you. Yeah, he was talking to me, the book was talking to me. I mean, it was Allah talking to me through the book. But for me, the book was talking to me. You know, he said, look, you know, Islam, because I had been chatting with him quite a bit, you know, with the book, this sort of thing, and he was also giving me dawah. And he said, look, Islam is not in a book. It doesn't matter, you're trying to find Islam in a book. Islam is not in a book. Islam is a way of life. For you to see Islam, you need to see Muslims. You need to see them pray, you need to see them do things. Then you can see Islam. It's not in the book. This book is instructions from God, but the way of life, for you to understand what to do as a Muslim, you need to see it with your own eyes. Come to the mosque. So he invites me to the mosque. So I go there to the mosque. I tell you, I don't even know if I want to say this in front of the camera. So I go to the mosque and it's like, I went into the mosque and I found out that, I went into the mosque, nobody was bothered about me. I was coming in, everybody was doing their own thing. I used to go to church, and if you knew in church, you would know you knew. Because like I said earlier, the priest, the pastor, whoever it is, he's coming first for you, new guy. Hi! He wants to introduce you to his church. He wants to make you part of his church. Then some few guys come, where are you from, blah, blah, all this, that you're under pressure here. No, everybody wants you to be part of this. Mosque is like nobody's bothered. I just come in and everybody's just coming in and doing their own thing. And they're just waiting. Who is they waiting for? It was Asia time. They're all waiting. And I see them doing some movements and this sort of thing. Because you don't know, non-Muslims come here, they don't know what we're doing. To tell you the truth, is very intimidating. Very intimidating. Because you know what? You put yourself in a situation where you go in a room with loads of people and everybody knows what they're doing except you. And the thing is, you don't even know where to start. What do I do? Do I walk? Or shall I sit down? Well, that guy is sitting, and then he's standing, he's bound, and he's prostrated. That one is reading a book. The other one is putting his hands up. Which one do I do? Because everybody's doing their own thing. Because Islam is so rich. There's so many things you can do. It's just that you can just decide what you want to do. It's how you want to connect with God. It's all about how you want to make a connection with Allah. How you want this reward, how you want to prepare yourself for the hereafter. It's all about you. It's personal bonding with God. Which, this is where I come to the signs. I told you about Juma. There are many signs. As I grew up in Islam, another thing that is a big sign from the signs, just see where they are. Yeah, the first one, wudu. Wudu is, look, I tell you the impact that wudu had on me. I wasn't Muslim yet. I was growing up. Actually, let's go back to basketball. I was playing basketball. Me and my basketball playing. The ball goes down into an area which is basically where Moroccans used to live in Gibraltar. Very deprived, dirty. Moroccans, to tell you the truth, didn't have much there. It was sad how bad they treated them there. Old people, mainly, Moroccans there. So my ball goes in there. So I'll go to the door to try and get it, and I knock. Because obviously, I'm still respectful towards whatever it is, there, so I knock. And I see this elderly guy, probably about 70 years old. He's sitting down, washing. That's what I saw. I saw a person washing like, just washing himself. I thought to myself at the time, you know what? This guy has nothing. 70 years old. Look at the place that he lives in. Look at the clothes that he has. Well, you know what? I have never seen a person washing himself with so much pleasure. He was like, no, he's making wood. Well, I didn't know what he was going to do. I just see him washing. But he's just enjoying it so much. I'm thinking, this guy's enjoying washing himself. It's unbelievable how people can actually find pleasure in such a simple thing as putting water on your body. But it had a click on me. It had something. It had an impact. It was sort of like a seed. Allah put a seed there. He said, look, this is going to grow now. You're going to see it later. Then all of a sudden, another sign is, as I'm growing up again, in Gibraltar there's a place called the Lighthouse at the end of Gibraltar. It's sort of like where I told you, where you can see these 2 continents and 3 nationalities. The view is amazing. That's where you take your girlfriend in. So I go with my car, my girlfriend, and you got the sunset there, the mountains, Africa, Europe. That's where you're going to take your girlfriend. That's non-Muslims, they do these sort of things, ride around with their girlfriend, take us on that some place nice. So I used to go there. Now the thing was, Saudi Arabia had built a mosque in Gibraltar at the time, being Gibraltaric, you know, they wanted to put a bit of a stamp there. So there's a mosque in Gibraltar, you know, purpose-built mosque, beautiful mosque, beautiful. It's just so sad that there's not enough people to fill it. You know, we get one line for Jumu'ah, one line in Jumu'ah. And if I showed you pictures of the mosque, you know what you would want to do? You would want to go and take it and bring it here and stamp it right in front of this. Just take this off and put it on top. Because it's a purpose-built, nice, top-class mosque. You know, beautiful inside. But it's like a museum. Because it's for tourists. Tourists go there, so they want to see the rocks. They want to see the mountain, the monkeys. There's monkeys there. They want to see this castle. So everybody that comes there, part of the tour is go to the mosque. There's a beautiful mosque. We take you in the car or in a taxi or the car and you go and see the mosque. So there's this mosque there. And they even allowed to do adhan allowed. Because it's part of the attraction. You're going to attract tourism. Because it's all a complete package. The mosque with the singing. No? As they say, the singing. Well, this singing, the adhan has a major impact. I mean, the only place I know that the adhan is out loud is Whitechapel. If you pass through Whitechapel, sometimes during Zohar or Asr, even Maghrib, you know, in the summer, they allow the adhan. I mean, it's an amazing, in Whitechapel is an amazing feeling because it's just full of blocks, it's towers and everything. So it's like in Mecca, you know, it's like echoing. You hear this Allah, and it just echoes everywhere. And whether you're Muslim or Muslims actually just get along with it and they just go on. Because that's the thing with us. We're just immune to this. We just hear the adhan and all the time to pray, let's go. Just normal, you know. It's normal. But for non-Muslims, it's like, wow, so beautiful singing. Where they come from? They, you know, because Allah has already done this. Even if you don't understand what's being said, it's just attracting people. And I used to do that. I used to go there, you know, with my mates and that, the car, the sunset, the view, wow. And then to put the icing on the cake, the sunset goes down, and then when the sun goes down, the singing. So I got this girl the right way I want her now. Anyway, I mean, this Jahiliyyah, that's how I was. I mean, I'm blamed because that's how it is out there, you know. Unfortunately, Muslims are like that nowadays, but so this adhan again had a big impact in my life. Even in Jahiliyyah, even as I'm doing haram, and Allah is bringing me to halal while I'm doing haram. Subhanallah. I mean, salah, another thing. I remember going back to that place where this old man was doing wudu. Somehow I ended up on the same door. Allah brought me back right at the entrance. But this time I wasn't looking at the old man. I was looking towards the left and I saw a little gap. And I saw the prayer hole. I was like, oh, wait a second. Let me see a bit more now. I saw the guy washing me. So Allah is bringing me again. And nobody's telling me anything about Islam. It's all visual. It's all just seeing and absorbing. I see these people praying. And I'm thinking, these people are dedicated, man. This guy, because obviously, if you come as a non-Muslim and you know people praying, you go like that, you're like, people are looking, it's like, who are you talking to? You know? So they look at you like that, they look at you like, who's talking? And then you look at the wall and you think, there's nothing on the wall. It's empty. Why are they facing the wall? And you try, because in Christianity, Catholicism especially, they believe in statues. So they have to have all their statues and all their pictures and all that in front of them so that they can worship God. If not, they can't focus. So they have to have all these things there. I'm looking at these people praying, and it's just like a dirty wall there. Well, not dirty, but there's nothing there. And they're all facing this wall, and they're all like absorbed in their prayer. It's like they're into it, which is such an amazing thing, you know. For, you know, in this type of lifestyle, you have the opportunity to just seclude yourself and nobody can bother you. Do you know that's a privilege? You live in London. I mean, we live in London. Find a time other than prayer where you can sit, well, apart from the toilet, you know, sorry, there's the camera. That's probably the only place you can sit and relax where you know nobody's going to come in. Other than that, tell me another place where you can start something and know that nobody's going to bother you. Salah, once you start, it's all yours. Well, maybe the phone will ring, but other than the phone, it's you and Allah. It's yours. It's your time. Use it. Take advantage of it. I mean, I remember when I embraced Islam in Luton, the Imam, he gave me a beautiful advice, you know, and I still make dua for that all the time. I ask Allah to keep me like that. He said, look, you've just become Muslim. I'm going to give you one advice, he said. In front of everybody, he said, look, Islam is bigger than you, me, and anybody here. You can try and answer all the questions of Islam. You won't get them all answered, because Islam is beyond this. There are unanswered questions that we won't know until we hit, you know, the hereafter. So you can search and search and search, and you know there's no end to it. So why are you in a rush? Take your time, enjoy Islam. This is the advice that he gave me. He said, take it slowly and enjoy every moment, because it might be your last. Pray like it was your last prayer. Do dhikr like it was your last. Help your family like it was your last time. Everything is Islam. Everything. Islam is not just in here, Islam is everywhere. At home, outside. Make Islam everywhere you go. Slow down and enjoy every experience, and Allah will show you things that you've never seen before. Yeah? This is how it is. This is the advice. On the other hand, I got another advice the next day. I meet this guy. I walk around with a friend of mine, I'm Muslim now, walking around Luton, which is like 99% Muslims, sort of like Whitechapel area, William Street sort of thing. So I'm walking there, this guy, oh, he's become Muslim. MashaAllah. He gives me a nice hug, you know. MashaAllah, you know, become Muslim, you don't know what you've done, MashaAllah. I'm going to give you an advice. I go, okay, he's going to give me an advice to me. He said, look, brother, don't follow us, we are wrong. He put me off completely. Brother, don't follow us, I'm wrong, he's wrong, you're wrong, we are wrong. He says, look, there is an example for you. There's a Quran, a book, and a human being that you can copy and follow. Follow the Quran, follow the Sunnah, and you'll never go wrong. Forget about the people. Follow the Quran and Sunnah. And that actually inspired me, because I thought, it's like, okay, I'm new at this, but I stand a chance now. Because you know, when you're a new Muslim, it's like you don't know how to do anything. You're like a little baby. I mean, I remember the first time I was praying, it took like 1 week, and I'm like moving around like this. Just copying this guy, because I was going to the mosque with a guy, with a friend of mine. He just used to pick me up from home, take me to the mosque, and I used to follow him. Everywhere, I used to look at him. Whatever he did, I did. Because one time I stepped out of place, and somebody went, stop, what are you doing? How do you do that? Okay. You don't want to move it because I was just about to break somebody's prayer. I didn't know that. I was just walking, and he said, stop, what are you doing? Stop, don't sit like that, why you stretch your legs? Because I mean, remember, you're in a cultural mosque here, you know, a bit like this way or no way. So I'm thinking, I need to come with this guy to the mosque, because you know, I'm not going to come here no more. And I used to come with him, and we used to pray. And I remember, wallahi, I was like, what am I doing? And I was just moving around, doing these things, prostrating and things. And then somebody actually sat with me, and they gave me really good advice. He said, look, I know everybody is trying to get you to learn Islam and all this, and because this is the thing, sometimes we don't have patience with new Muslims, you know. I remember the day I embraced, I tell you, the best party in my life. It's like everybody was hugging me. There was even an elderly crying. I'm thinking, This guy seriously crying about me embracing Islam. Really, and it's not a joke, it's not like he was crying. He gave me a hug like I was his son. He says, oh, he's crying. I'm thinking, wow, look at this. I embraced Islam. 2 seconds later, okay, Salamu alaikum. Sorry? Salamu alaikum. Sorry, I don't speak to that. Now you just say Salamu alaikum. Then I say Salamu alaikum salam. It's easy, guys. Salamu alaikum, alaikum salam. I just become Muslim. You're confusing me now. Salamu alaikum stuff. I don't know what you're talking about. Really, it was just like, I mean, this is one thing where like people that have embraced Islam, you can help here. Because we need you. When people embrace Islam, we need you more than anybody. Because you've gone through this. I mean, I remember one guy embraced after a couple of weeks. I'm like, how's your legs? That's what I told him. He's like, he embraced Islam and people are like, how's your Islam? Are you praying? I just said, how are your legs? How are your feet? How you know about my feet? I know about your feet. They're hurting anyway. He says, yeah, they're hurting a lot. God, man, you never sat like that in your life. It's true. You know, how many people in the world sit like this on the floor? People don't sit on floors. You know, they sit on chairs. It's the only place we sit on the carpet. So normally they don't sit like this. They sit on a chair. You gotta get a person that has just embraced Islam, put him on his knees, like that, at the you know, like that, in the position, and leave him there for like about 2 minutes. And his legs will start going numb. And then he's going, oh, and then he's not praying no more. But he's praying. He's crying out to God. He's going, oh God, please, oh, I can't hold him no more. Please. So he's definitely making connection with God, but not the one, you understand? So these are the things that people take for granted. They don't know about this. It's an experience that a new Muslim goes through, and only new Muslims know these things because they've gone through it. Anyway, you know, we're running out of time. What time do you want to finish? Okay, so I say the Shahadah, and then the big thing hits me right on my face. Allah tests me the moment I say the Shahadah. Yeah? The moment I say the Shahadah, He tests me big time. I go home, I tell my ex, she freaks out. The next day, I come after work and she's got all the luggage in the living room, and she asks me, look, I don't want this in my life. You choose us or this thing you've embraced. I have to make a choice like that. Okay? Right when I was in my happiest moment, when I thought I had embraced something so unbelievable, you know, so great, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe, and there's many people out there who can't believe this, you know, when they embrace it, it's like, I can't believe this existed. Because people are lost out there. There's no hope. Islam is their hope. But they just don't want to come in here and see it. They would rather see it on the TV and see the bad media. You were to come in here and spend a week in the mosque with me, with anybody here, you will embrace it. You know why? Because you will love this. You will love the environment you're in. Because there's nothing better than this. So I embrace it and Allah tests me. So I have to choose. So I choose Islam. Because I only chose Islam. You know why I chose Islam? My ex actually threw me out of the house before that. But it was my fault. Yeah. So it was my fault. So I'm not going to tell you what it was. Because I might end up in jail now. But it was my fault. So I admit it. I was out. And then gradually I came back in. You know. But this time, I wasn't wrong. I was right. I mean, I'm just getting closer to God. I'm not asking you to pray. I'm not asking you to embrace. I've embraced. I want to find out what it is. I'm not taking drugs. I'm not drinking alcohol. I'm not hitting and breaking walls and swearing. Actually, I'm trying not to swear. And because I don't swear, I pray to God, and I do good things, you're going to throw me out of the house. You know what? I will go. Because I'm going to follow my heart, and my heart says what I'm doing is good, so I'm going to follow that. Because you know what? I didn't know what Islam was. There is no way I'm going to choose Islam against my family. Because I didn't know what Islam was. Because this came too early. This test came the next day. I was there the next day, and I was out. And I was in the mosque sleeping. The next day, I remember hanging my clothes for school right there in one of the areas of the mosque. I slept the next day in the mosque on the carpet. And then the following day, this friend of mine who I used to follow, who I'm so grateful Allah sent him to me, because every new Muslim needs a companion for a while. This is why Imam Shakil says, who's going to take this person? Because if it wouldn't have been for him, I would have never come to the mosque again. He brought me back. Don't worry. I called him and said, look, I'm out of the house. What shall I do? Don't worry, I'm coming. Came with a car, picked me up, went to the mosque. Don't worry, you know what? This Allah is testing me. Allah is testing me. And I'm freaking out here. Allah is testing me. He takes me to the mosque, and he just says, don't worry, I'm going to talk to somebody, you stay here, I'll leave you. The next day he got me a flat or a room. He said, don't worry, I'll pick you up, we'll get some food. And he took care of me. He took care of me. He brought me to the mosque every day. The mosque became my life for a while. I couldn't see my daughter for a long time. Then to top it up, I get a call from my mom. What are you doing? My ex called her. You left your kids for this thing that they're brainwashing you. You know what? It got to a point where I lost my partner, I lost my child, I lost my family. My mom was nagging me, telling me, come off this. They brainwash you. My friends were calling. Everybody was against me. Everyone. In less than 2 days. I mean, any person would have gone, forget this. This was a mistake. And I had this friend of mine, but how only knew him 2 days. I'm not going to rely on him. I don't know this guy. As good as he is, I don't know him. I want to turn to somebody that I feel comfort with. My mom, my dad, my wife, my child, relatives, people who can come and support me in this time. No one. All I had was Allah. I had to turn to Allah. Because all I had was Allah. I'm thinking, okay then, I'll embrace. Nobody seems to want this for me, but I think I want to follow my heart. So I turn to Allah, and my heart as open as I can get it. I say, Allah, or God at the time, please help me, make it easy for me. You know what? It was a journey. My mom, after 2 years, I get home. Obviously, you don't know me before. I used to have long hair, you know, long hair. And before even then, I used to wear a thobe all the time. I mean, I still wear a thobe every now and then, but it was like proper. Because when I do things, I put like 100%. So I go home after 2 years, long hair, thobe. My mom comes to me. She gives me a hug and says, my boy, he looks like Jesus. Allah changed the hearts. Yeah, Allah changed the heart. I can see my daughter now. I've been seeing her for a while. You know, Allah brought me into, I used to work in the state school. Allah brought me into Muslim schools. I've been working in Muslim schools for over 8, 9, 10 years, something like that. Moving from school to school. I can pray, I can say Allah, I can say Salaam Alaikum. I'm in a job where I'm not afraid to express my faith and talk about Allah and increase my iman in front of everybody. It's my job, I'm there. Now Allah blesses me and I live right here on top. I'm thinking, I was telling someone, I said, you know what, I don't know, I think I'm not going to have anything in Jannah. I'm having everything here, so because, you know, and it's all about your intention, it's all about, you know, sincerity and trust, put tawakkul in Allah. That's what I did at the time. I didn't know the word, but I didn't have anywhere to turn, and I just turned to Allah. And Allah changed everything for me. And alhamdulillah, you know, I'm so grateful for this journey that hopefully will continue for years. And, you know, like I say, you know, I'll take it as slowly as I can and enjoy every moment. And Jazakallah khairan for this.